Horse and gents, welcome to UX, and this is Let's Kill You a Billion Times to Make You Immortal by Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. Is this like immune system video? Is it some philosophy video? Is it some other physics type video? I don't know, like kill you a billion times. It could be immune system video. I don't know. Yeah, Kurzgesagt makes very different scientific videos and even philosophy videos a lot of times, which is like interesting. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Let's watch this one.
If you're going back to school, bring Kurzgesagt with you. Students save 10% on our back-to-school collection, only until August the 15th on the Kurzgesagt shop. You might be unkillable, impossible to delete out of existence, if one of the most exciting ideas about physics, quantum immortality, is true. To test this idea, we'll put a nuclear bomb in your living room, but more on that later. This is real science happening around one of the most successful theories of physics. To understand why, we need to tell you a story. The story of the smallest parts in the universe, atoms and fundamental particles. With everyday objects, things intuitively make sense. If you kick a marble 10 times with the same force and at the same angle, it always lands in the same spot. But if you kick an electron 10 times exactly the same way, it shows up in different places. On the most fundamental level of reality, randomness is the rule. The story that solves this is called quantum mechanics. Simplified, it goes something like this. A particle like an electron is not like a tiny marble, but like a shapeshifter, a diffuse thing we call a wave that ebbs and flows. But to make it much weirder, it's not a wave of matter or energy, but a wave of probability, an immaterial essence that has values between 0% and 100%.
Yeah, quantum world is so awesome. Most of the time that's the case because it's like this is where things start. We go from virtual particles to actual particles. We see particles coming to existence from virtual particles. It's just insane, right? How Hawking radiation works. Basically, there's virtual particles are involved there. And obviously, like quantum world is so, weird in a way that it's really hard to like really measure it, right? This is the problem we have, right? Like, so when the marble thing is saying like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, you can't really give example like that, right? Like if you want to simplify it, like maybe, but you can't really give example because if you kick an electron, like kick in which way, right? And like movement at the quantum level is very different than how we see it. So giving some, let's just say energy, because in the end it's all energy. So giving electron an energy, which path will that electron take? It's like there is way too many variations based on things like how you give it energy and shared. So is this the thing, like quantum is so awesome, like we're still figuring things out. But again, it's like finding a result in the quantum world is really hard. Because trying to gather any kind of like results implies that you're doing some kind of a energy transfer, which will mess with the result all around. So that could be one of the random factors as well.
What does that even mean? Quantum mechanics doesn't really tell us much about the electron. It only tells us how this entity that we call an electron behaves on average. Say you shoot an electron gun at your apartment. You shoot it 100 times. 80 times the electron shows up in your living room and 20 times in your kitchen. So the probability wave of our electron is 80% in the living room and 20% in the kitchen. What's deeply annoying is that this story of probability waves works insanely well in reality. It's not just some brainchild that only works on paper. Scientists have tested it in countless experiments and it works every single time. It explains how a lot of real things work, from information passing through microchips to the atoms fusing in the center of stars. And yet, how can this story make sense? All of our other scientific stories give us a mental picture of the things they're describing, a sphere of...
Yeah, that's probably like the best example to give is like, we don't have precision at the quantum level. Let's just say, he gave the example of like hitting the marble. But imagine if your finger is too big and like there is no angle you can precisely hit because marble is too small, right? So, and also like you can't really see it because seeing is also like hitting it in a different way. So when you hit it, like you can only end up with probabilities. Like these are the probabilities where it could hit here, or it could hit here, or it could show up here, or it could show up there, right? So you know, like in emergence, like overall when setting down, when you like back away a bit, yeah, there is like things that working at that level when it comes to like, you know, microchips and everything. A very precise thing, yeah, that's we don't have precision when it comes to like quantum world, because how do you even have that? Like smallest instrument you can think of trying to do something is enough of energy to mess up the thing. So precision is really hard.
Iron at the center of Earth, an elastic fabric of space. But a wave of probability, what's that even supposed to look like? Quantum mechanics doesn't tell us anything about the electron itself, what it looks like, how it moves, or how it tastes. But if our story doesn't describe the electrons themselves, what does it describe, and how does it potentially make you immortal? What is the quantum story really about? Scientists have been debating this for a century. They've come up with tons of ideas we can't cover here, but there are two popular schools of thought. We'll call them linguists and literary critics. They're screaming and arguing over what the quantum story really means. The position of the linguists is shut up and calculate. They basically claim that quantum mechanics is not a story about reality, but just a kind of grammar for the theoretical language of the universe. With this language, we can predict experiments, nothing else. If there is no story, there's no point in asking what the story says about the electron. Whether electrons are tiny marbles or clouds, waves of negative charge, or Detective Pikachu is missing the point. Quantum mechanics doesn't enable you to visualize any electrons. All you can do is to run experiments. And physics is all about experiments, not about creating mental pictures for us. So shut up, stop imagining fairy tales, and just use the
Yeah, this is why a lot of physicists usually like, does math explain it? Can you put it in theory? Like, don't give me any other shit. Like, it's a good way to approach things, let's just say, because it's very precise. But that doesn't mean that's the absolute. Like, yeah, you know, like, aside arguing like we need mental picture as well, that's also true. There is also an element, like, if you want to approach something, yeah, usually like, you know, like, can you solve it on a mathematical level, right? Can you put it on theory? Does it function in that way? Like, let's think about visualization later if we can figure this out.
Probability wave to calculate things. Follow the grammar, ignore the plot. No, scream the literary critics. Read between the lines. There's a hidden meaning here. They are many worldlians, and they're convinced that quantum mechanics is a story about reality, and they want to interpret the story. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics is not the same as the multiverse, by the way, which is a whole different can of worms, but we'll get to that another time. The many worldlians think that the universe is an infinitely complex quantum state, where all physically possible outcomes coexist simultaneously. If the probability wave of your electron is split 80% to 20% between your living room and the kitchen, that means that the electron is split in a similar way. That there are 5 versions of the electron, 4 of them are going to the living room.
These are the people, I'm not saying this theory is wrong, I don't want it to be true, let's just say. These are the same people who are arguing that we might not have free will. This is the same line of people, right? Like, there is you know, let's just say 1 million probabilities what could happen, and that way the future is shaped, right? Same mentality is like when you see it, like how our brain functions. These are the same people who's like basically saying, based on like decent math, that we might not have free will. I don't want that to be true. Now, is it true or not? I don't fucking know, but I'm not rooting for this side, let's just say. Because that shit is next level. Because if that's true, like we don't really have free will, what does that mean? Does that mean was Hitler evil? Or what just Hitler was, if nobody has free will? That is so fucked up. That opens so many issues, like that just like it just hurts my brain. So you don't have free will when we realize that 100%, yeah, I don't know what to do after that shit. So, yeah. But then again, like, I feel like this is like a weird way to look at it. Like I said at the start, like it's really hard to be precise in the quantum world. So we come up with this like certain probabilities, like, okay, where is the electron going to end up? Only it's like, throwing a rock at something, big rock at some small thing. That's not precise. That small thing can jump anywhere, even though if you throw a rock at kinda the same way. But you're not being 100% precise because you're not throwing rock exactly the same quantum level precise way. So it's gonna have some variation. I think that's what's happening here. We don't have precision when it comes to smallness of the quantum world. So these people basically take that as like, oh, there is a million thing that could happen, and electron will take that thing type of way.
And one to the kitchen. But it isn't just the electron that splits. You are observing the electron, so there are 5 versions of you too. 4 of them see the electron in the living room and 1 in the kitchen. Each of these different versions of you and the electron are equally real, equally true, and all of them exist at this moment in your house. But they can't communicate or interact in any way, so they're totally invisible to each other, which means that whoever you are right now, you are just one of your versions experiencing just one thing, either seeing the electron in the living room or in the kitchen. Many worlds means that all physically possible worlds are coexisting right here, right.
See, the problem with this is like we need to like really like process what does space-time continuum mean? What is a physical thing? How can there mirror things exist like that in the physical world? What is a granularity of the universe itself? Like, what is a 3-dimension if something can be mirrored there? If there could be 5 different versions of us, like what does that mean? This is like infinities. Okay, it's infinite. What the fuck does that mean in physical world? Are you saying like it's expanding so fast before we can approach it? So for us it's infinite. Okay, but that's not really infinite. What does infinity even mean in physical world? It doesn't make sense. Something has no end. Okay, so how the fuck did it start? If you can argue it never started and never ended and it's infinite, even then like all the laws of physics we have kind of feels weird. Like what is infinity? So it's shit like that, like okay, there are 5 versions of you that can interact with each other. Like, what the fuck does that mean? And beyond that, in science, like how are you gonna prove that? If you can prove that, like does that even exist? Like even if it exists, we'll never know it. So there's no point of really thinking about that.
Right now, but independently of each other, like the branches of a tree. And there are a lot of them. Every possible quantum process means there are other possible worlds. A radioactive atom decays, another world exists where it didn't. A cosmic ray hits one of your cells, another world exists where the ray just passed through. Each second, bazillions upon bazillions of new worlds exist on top of each other. Stop it, shout the linguists. If these worlds can't interact with each other, we can't check whether they exist. This is not science, so please shut up and calculate.
See, there's also an element of like I said, E equals mc square. Like I said, everything's energy in the end of the day. How much matter exists in the universe determines how much heat. There is no heat. How much energy, so basically heat. How much heat there is in a given place. The universe was really hot long before when it was like really condensed. Now it's like expanded, it's less hot. So are these universes, are these different versions of us existing in the same universe? That means there's way too much matter. Because there's another version of matters there. So there will be way too much energy. How is that now causing heat issues? Okay, are these universes existing beyond our universes? So how are they similar in any way? How are they communicating with each other? How are they supposed to be different if they are in different universe? Because if in the same universe, there's too much matter there. Because there are 500 million versions of the same thing. Which means let's just say there's a million computers like I have right now. Million sun where our sun is. Okay, doesn't that increases the heat, energy all around? I don't know.
Wait, there is a way to find out. But to do it, you'll have to die a few hundred times. And maybe prove that you're immortal. The ultimate experiment. All we need are 2 electron detectors connected to a nuclear bomb in your living room. If the detector in your living room is activated, the nuke explodes. If the one in the kitchen is activated, you're safe. Now sit on the nuke and have your brave assistant shoot the electron gun. There are 2 ways this can go. There's a 20% chance the electron lands in the kitchen and you survive, and an 80% chance you die. Okay, let's shoot. Beep. Oh, lucky you. The electron landed in the kitchen. Let's try once more. Beep. And once again. Beep. and another 100 times. Beep, 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 beep. If there is only one universe, you'll die fairly soon. Sooner rather than later, the electron will trigger the nuke and you'll be instantly vaporized. But if the many worlds interpretation is true, then every time your assistant shoots the gun, there are 5 versions of you and 4 instantly die. Only one of your versions is alive, and there's only one thing you can experience: your survival. It doesn't matter how many times you try. From your perspective, you'll survive every time. At first, it will seem like
Again, this implies the universe is here. It's not a different area. It's not a different universe. You can shoot the electron. It might land in one of these versions, which means that universe is here, where we are. Again, like that opens way too many worms that we can process. Okay, you can argue maybe that's dark energy, but like, I don't know, man. Right? There's too much shit. Like that might cause like heat issues. Like, okay, too much energy. All the matter is basically energy. So like, I don't know, like can we calculate that? Because right now, whatever the temperature number we have, we can calculate to the matter, right? Like this is the matter, this is the energy it should have, and that's the heat of the universe. Okay, how can we account for all this? I don't know, man. I don't know. See, and like if our electrons can, like hit one of those other universes, then how can we not detect these universes if electron can land there from shooting here? So this feels like one of those like, let's not think about certain elements, but only pick and choose certain elements to make up our world, which doesn't feel right.
like luck, but at some point, your luck will become near impossible. In a universe with just one reality, your odds of surviving 100 times in a row are about 1 in 10 duovigintillion, a 1 followed by 70 zeros. So, if you did the experiment 100 times and you're still here, the universe just whispered its deepest secret to you. Yes, you killed hundreds of versions of yourself, but you now know for sure that the many worlds are true, because you are still here experiencing things, and that you're kind of immortal. Okay, well, all that might be a bit overwhelming. Let's break it down again. The cosmic secret. If every possible quantum process always happens in some branch, then this doesn't only mean that there are almost, but not quite, infinite versions of you, but there's always a you that gets insanely lucky. A tumor starts, but a cosmic ray kills it before it spreads. A bolt of lightning strikes at you, but a quantum fluke makes it miss by a meter. A washing machine falls from a roof, but all its atoms quantum tunnel through your body. No matter how extremely high the likelihood is that you'll die, there may always be a branch in which you survive. So, should you start wingsuit flying today? Well, not so fast. For every version of you that survives, bazillions don't. And all those versions of you are just as real as you are right now watching this video. So if you care about the current version of yourself, you should care just as much about all the versions still waiting to be and their loved ones. In other words, if you see a washing machine falling, better move away and save as many of your versions as you can. The more universes exist with you in them, the better. Your existence makes the...
I like how we made that animation. It's like, fuck. People might misunderstand that. How to explain that? Okay, how about save all your versions and move away when the washing machine drops? Oh, okay, that's good.
Universe richer. And there's another good reason to move. While the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics feels beautiful and elegant, that doesn't make it true. We don't know if it's true, and so far no literary critic sat on a nuke to risk being wrong. If the shut up and calculate people are right, there is just one world.
Dude, this is basically, there's way too many things have happened in the past. Tachyons is a great example of that. Oh, there must be a tachyon, backwards traveling particle. We never found it. If it exists, we should be able to find it. It travels backwards. No, it's not real. So, when you have like a half a picture, less than half a picture, and you fill in the gaps, those gaps have higher probability of being wrong. So you're filling in that gap and thinking, what if it's this? And then you take that and multiply it by other scenarios, and you created this whole web of picture. Whole foundation is wrong. We don't know. That's the whole fucking thing. And you're guessing what could be true and going from there to like, oh, it could be like 5 versions of you. It could be 100 versions of you. There's probabilities like, like all this shit. This is like mathematics. Mathematics is sometimes linear that way. If this means this, then that must mean this, and you just like go from there. That's not how things work. Tachyons don't exist. There's many things like this. There's a higher chance like time traveling might not even be real. Real physical limitations stop it. Even though math can say it. This shit is one of those things like, no, like this shit is just some too much, right? Like it causes way too many issues in real physical world. Then it like solves. And when you really think about it, like really, I don't know.
Just one version of you. And if the washing machine hits you, you are done for. But wouldn't this be nice to know? If the many worlds idea is true, then no matter how unlucky you get, you will always know that somewhere you are lucky. Quantum mechanics.
I hope all go to original video page link and from there support this channel. Great science channel. No, nothing like this. Yeah, again, if there is another version of you that is saved, that's not really you, is it? Like you can't feel, you can't see through that version's eye. That version is different than you, even though it's you. Let's not go into that detail either. I don't know. I don't like this, right? Obviously, somebody will tell me in the comments, oh, you didn't think about this mathematical theory, you're an idiot. Again, that is what I'm saying. Math can take you a long way away, but if your foundation itself is not solid, if your mathematical formula starts with an error, you don't know if it's an error or not, that error can exponentially go higher the more you calculate. That's what this shit is. That's what made tachyon. There might be tachyon. No, there is no tachyons. There's many things in like science people calculated. Math tells us that. There's many things that math tells us, but the foundation of that is wrong. So math is wrong. Math is a tool in the end. So no, this feels like one of the I'm more like shut up and calculate type of people, because you can actually tangibly see something. Like you can see a theory. You can actually implement it rather than wildly guess shit like this. I don't know. Right, well, let's kill you a billion times to make you immortal. Watch channel Kurzgesagt. If you like my content, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.